So that's why you'll see this view of a drawing, the side view of a drawing, and then I'll ask you to do a bottom view like that, and then I'll ask you to do a view like that, where you're looking at the object like that, and you don't see more than one side. So I'm going to continue what kind of a slideshow to show you some student work from the past that will kind of show you, you know, what your drawing should kind of look like. The easy thing about this, just never forget this. If your width of your object is this wide here, like how we did the calipers, how they're that wide, guess what? That width isn't going to change when you draw it that way. Like when you draw it this way from the top, it's not going to change. When you draw it this way, it's not going to change. So when I draw it sideways, this height is not going to change. So that's what's nice about doing that. And then when you graduate into a different project, I'm going to say that pretty much all throughout your rest of your art career, you can draw whatever you want as long as you know how to do this on paper without a computer. If you know how to do this on paper, you can literally draw whatever you want and give it to somebody and say, this is what I want you to build. So for big public art projects, this is what I do when I send a sculpture to get fabricated. If I have to fabricate it even myself, which is most of the time I fabricate a lot of it myself, I have to send them something that tells them I want it to be this tall. So our drawing, one of the things I do want you to do is when you get, you know, your thing drawn out, we'll start measuring it out, and this is 6 1/4. So I would write that. I'm going to write really big so you can see. I'm going to zoom in. But so I can see where it ended on the ruler, and we're going to do a bunch of ruler stuff. 6 1/4, and that's how we write 6 inches and 6 1/4 inches. A lot of drawings, I'm going to erase this. When you see a lot of people do these technical drawings, they have like a little dash, and that basically points to this line here, and it tells you, I'm going to zoom out one more time. This tells you here 6 1/4 inches. I just broke my pencil. Write it. We know that that measurement is 6 1/4. Now, if you have a smaller object, a lot of y'all have like farm animals and stuff. If you chose a different object, well, you know, I don't mind if y'all choose a different object. Just make sure you run it by me first, or email me a picture of it so I can assess on whether it's too complicated or not. Some of you may have toys or something, or your little brother or sister has a toy you want to use. Just make sure you use that object and you can stick with that object. Because once I decide that this is my object, I'm going to draw this object for all of the drawings, and then we're going to do a sculpture of it. So I want to make sure that you're committed to it. I gave y'all animals because they're kind of fun and they're a little bit more interesting. And some of y'all might not like your animal for whatever reason. Again, we can change that as we go along. So I would expect later on we'll talk about a measurement here. The basics, like the basic measurements. I have 2 1/4 here. We said that earlier when we were measuring that that's 2 1/4. And that's how you want it written. The biggest measurements are the most important ones for now. That helps you draw. You can measure your object. You know, you can take and measure this part of the object and then put that measurement there, and then you know where to stop. Sorry, shadow. And then you put that measurement here, and then you know where to stop at a certain part of the object. You can make another measurement here for this part. So you can take this, break this object down and measure it. But I find that everybody has a lot more fun when we just make a box that's the right size, and we just go ahead and draw it, and don't worry about trying to measure every little single part right away. So we're going to translate this object. We might even blow it up. What I mean blow it up, I mean scale it up. So if you have a small thing that it's going to be like really, really teeny tiny, we might make it bigger. You might want to draw it small, and then we'll multiply those measurements. So if 6, if you multiplied 6 times 2, y'all know that that's 12, right? So 6 1/4 times 2 would be what, 12.5 inches? Because 2/4 equals a half, just like 2/4 equals 50 cents, right? So again, you could do that for all of these drawings, and when we make our objects out of different materials or abstract the objects, it's going to be a lot easier for you to have these first initial measurements done, and then you don't have to think about measuring stuff. You're just doing it by eye after that. Okay? So check out the slideshow I'm about to show on this video, and you can see the different things that we're using. All right. Have a good one.